live. Oh, we got a smiley face. I'm Lynn Serrano, and you are
I'm Brian Kelm with the sad smile. Even though it's a smiley face, it was only like a 4 second little
well,
creation. So
well, you know what? I'm glad to see we're live because I don't know at your end, but my end, I'm here at my dad's, and he's never had internet here, and I had it installed before I got here. It's the first time doing live, so I don't really know the level of this, but it was freezing as I was trying to hit live. So I don't even know what happened. I was like, is it my end, your end? I don't know what ends up right now.
great. Our first show back after a few days off because it's the summer and
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I'm
Yeah.
talking.
Sorry, you guys. I know you guys have been messaging me the shows, what's going on. And I want to thank Brian for yesterday because to be quite honest, I've been here at my dad's since Friday. I surprised him and long story short there, I just not been doing well. I actually swelled up like a balloon last night, I feel like a little kid to say, last night I slept like a baby. I actually slept through the night. I didn't have to pee in the middle of the night. So I finally, from Friday to today, it took that long for me to even sleep. Now I had flare-ups with my gastroparesis. So but I've been lucky, knock on wood, because I expected that to happen at Tammy's house. I had a great time there. I had a great time at Vanessa's house. But damn, the streak broke once I saw my dad. And I always get really sick when I'm around my dad. Not personally, it's just the flare-ups because he ends up making Spanish food that I love, but I can't eat it. So I was like, Dad, hi, Scott.
What's up, Scott?
We miss you too. So being at my dad's and my dad goes, I hadn't made rice in so long. I don't think I know how to make it no more. And so he made rice. I think it was Sunday or something. I ate it for like 2 days and I finally was so sick. I said, Dad, I can eat the rice. We still have leftovers. I hope he doesn't think he's from old school. He's 80 years old, right? So I hope he doesn't think I'm going to keep eating this rice. He's going to have to eat it or something. Hi, Scuba Steve.
What's up, Scuba Steve?
Yeah. Hey, Sandy. Oh, we love seeing our people here. Yeah, and it's summertime and it's crazy and everything else. So
looked like she had a delicious cocktail last night when she was eating somewhere. I think I saw it on my phone.
That girl is a partier. Let me tell you, she is. I love her. I love being around her. I just love Sandy. Someday I'll be visiting her here in Florida as well. So,
that's cool.
But anyhow, yeah, no, and I've got to give kudos to Brian because this show, since it's been started, Brian is usually the one that comes up with the topics and we talk about it. And I've gotten so dependent on that and I so appreciate it. And it's nice. He's asking, Lynn, what do you want to talk about? And I'm like, I don't know. So I've just been overwhelmed lately. And so I said to him, hey, I'm so sorry that I've placed that all upon you. And I just want to take note that I appreciate that you pick topics. And when I pick topics lately, I don't do well with that because Brian goes, no, we shouldn't do that. Or we did this or this or that. So I'm like, whatever.
Well, and here's the thing is that first and foremost, and I've said this many times, is that your time is valuable. You're important to us. And if we're going to share something, we would rather, if we're going to go live, we're going to want to make it purposeful.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have an intention that you're going to, if you fully participate or if you not, maybe listen for a few more than just a couple minutes, you're going to get something that you can use out in the world.
Absolutely.
And if we ever feel that it's like, we're not going to do a show, it doesn't mean that we don't have anything to talk about, but we don't want to waste anybody's time.
Yeah. So, and this, because it's raw and real, I mentioned to Brian, and I don't know when it's going to happen or whatever, but I mentioned to him, we might, in the future, lower how many shows we do a week or something. I don't know. That's not set in stone, but we are real and raw here. We're just, like he says, we want to even if it's 2 or 3 times a week, we want to make sure that we give you an abundance of stuff because I think when you go from 5 days to 3 days, all of a sudden you're like, you give more bang for the buck of more things you want to share in those episodes than us saying, well, we'll see you tomorrow and we'll talk more about it tomorrow. instead of lingering the topics, we might just like boom them. So so that's something we're playing with, we're talking about, where it might even take a process, but I think that's what we've learned from doing the show, that we do like giving value. We do like and we love living limitless abundance mindset. And with that, you have to have the mindset that if he wants to grow his business, what he's doing, and get his books going, and I need to do what I'm doing, we can't just keep staying here Monday through Friday either. We have to do what we need to do to propel to the next level and still be connected and see us both flourish, right before your eyes. So that's why I think it's conducive to say that we are perpetuously going to the next level, just like we hope that you do. And we hope that we inspire and motivate you to do that. So that's just my thought process on this. Like today, I'm actually going to go spend time with this Michelle. And I might go live with her, and I might, that's for some other taping and whatever, but it's just the things that I want to do are pretty cool. And Brian's doing a lot of cool things too. So we want to give you the aha moments when we get on here about what's going on in our lives, right, plus how we're metamorphosizing our own lives at the same time. Metamorphosizing. Yeah, well,
it's one of those things where it's like, Lynn has been dealing with some health issues and she's overcoming those, but it's like, it's not always, you run into a roadblock, and because if you don't have an idea what you're going to talk about before you go online, you might be wasting somebody's time. Yeah. And that's the last thing we want to do, because everybody's time is so precious. So,
yeah. And so we, without having our mission or what we're doing. And so I think in our shows, I mean, if we go down to 2 shows or 3 shows, we can tell you what's going on in our personal life, and then we can have a topic. So we can have like 2 different segments of the show. And I think that's great too. And then having our guests.
Well, and Sandy says right there is that, we all have lives outside of the show.
Yeah.
And,
yep.
And also, though, it does not, let's just be honest. I mean, Sandy has done a lot of shows too, but if you do a show every day, it's a lot of freaking work.
Yeah.
And we're not afraid of doing the work. I mean, Lynn is the tech person that knows StreamYard inside and out. And, where I came in as an opposing view, and we connected right away. And the idea person, or, what we want to talk about, or adding some interactivity to our show. So it is a lot of work, and that is outside of what we do normally. So,
right.
But we want to be a contribution. We would not be where we are without you guys helping us and taking in our content. So
absolutely.
But it goes to my core is that, why would you ever, turn on the camera and just babble about something that you don't know where it's going to go or whatever, which may be okay, but at least you have an idea what you're going to talk about.
Right. And that's, we're being real and raw. And that's why we're sharing with you guys along the way what we decide and what we talk about. And I'm not doing this to show, I only mentioned this a couple minutes before we turned on the show to Brian. And, but, we like to be transparent. We like to be vulnerable, and we like to say, we don't know what we're going to do with it, but you're our audience, and you deserve to be a part of whatever we do. And I don't know about you, Brian, but I've been getting a lot of messages when we're going to be on. So even, and I'm not going to be home till like middle of August. So I think what I'm going to try to do is I'd like to at least give our audience at least a certain days that we will be on or something. We'll figure that out because guys shouldn't suffer because we're doing summer stuff and you're doing summer stuff as well. We just don't want to leave you guys in the dark. And so,
and here's the thing is that I told my girlfriend last night is that our show is kind of similar to when you have the season finale of a show, on TV, right? Is that they take, months off and they get ready for the fall season.
Yeah.
Because they obviously know people are traveling. There's going to be reruns. We got lives too. Speaking of that, anybody that watches Yellowstone, season 4 starts on Sunday, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah. So Oh, I get to go to Jerry's and Cheryl's house.
That's
I'm honored. I'm going to be there for a couple days, and yes, I might be live from his studio. That would be great.
that's awesome.
So yeah, but again, it's exciting. I know that Brian and I both. I mean, he's got new wedding clients and stuff. Like we've got things going on in our lives, and that's just that's going to be exciting to talk about these
But
things in the
but there
future.
again, it's like we're not going away. We're just and I didn't know about this until I logged on. Lynn's got some other opportunities, to host other shows. So I mean, she's got to make time for those people as well. So we're not going away. We're just retooling things a little bit, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So
So
we're not going away.
no, we're not. It's just, but we will figure out what days that you can depend on us, because I'm getting a lot of messages. No show. When's the show? No show. When's the show? No show. I'm like, no, we're not going to be a no show. We need to figure out when our show will be.
Right. Well, and it's like sometimes, like these one-off shows, I almost favor having like a week-long topic over one-off shows, because it's like to get that groove or to solely unravel a body of content. To me, it's almost easier to do it over a week, right? Versus like one off here, one off there. So it's like we're trying to take a whole topic and have a beginning, middle, and end all in an hour. you know?
Yeah, and I guess I'm a little different on that, but I can see your point, and I can see my point too, is that sometimes when you got less time to talk about something, you become more concise, or you get your point across, then they'll make it linger. So I mean, again, value of people's time and things like that. So
Yep.
So yeah, but anyhow, enough of that. I like that you came up with the topic of living limitless abundance mindset, which must be in your forefront lately. So if you want to share that, that would be great.
Sure. I mean, just say yes, get started, be in action, right? And I know that we've talked about action a lot on this show, but it starts with your mindset. And it's like, don't let something revel in your brain. Get started. Take a note, shut off all the distractions, put your phone on do not disturb. Whatever it takes to facilitate what you need to get done. And even if you don't need to get it done, but you prefer getting it done, like for me, I subscribe to so many different masterminds and online programs. And it's like, like one of them that we're a part of. And it's like, I've been going through all of the coaching calls, to just learn. But it's like at frickin' 90 minutes per session, it's like, man, you don't go through those very quickly, And it's like, if you know that you're going to do it, it could be an opportunity, or it could be like, this is a drag, right? So the limitless abundant mindset, I mean, it's the limitless is that you're not making any judgments. You're just doing it, right? I'm going to get started. I'm going to press play. I'm going to bring out that pad of paper to write an article. It's our brain is a very powerful tool, but we can often be misled by what it tells us, or what it will tell us to do and not do.
Well, it's funny you bring this stuff up, Brian, because to be quite honest, it's like I've always had that mindset since I was young, and since 6th grade, when my life took the I'm going to defy these odds kind of mentality. And I realized that I've been that hardcore. I've been that hardcore where even with broken bones or injuries, head injuries or this and that, I'm like, I've got that mindset. However, I've realized that when your body's broken and you have things like a paralyzed stomach, or, herniated discs, or things that keep you from lifting weights, and things that keep you from walking the 5 miles you used to do a day, and all these different things, I don't find those as excuses, but God has made me realize that I need to start realizing those mindsets are great. But as you get older, and I'm 55, that shit don't fly on your schedule. It does not fly on your schedule. So like, good example, they literally had me on morphine, pain contract with tramadol, everything you name it, because all they feel they can do is give me some pills to keep me comfortable. Okay. Which makes my stomach condition even worse.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Keeps me bloated. It keeps me, the prednisone, just whatever. Right. But I've taken the bodybuilding days of pain and have done, when I stand up, I'll do a stretch of my legs or this and that. And I'm like, oh, that was a good workout. I have to take my memory of pain and think of it as a good workout so that I can actually function. I have to go ahead and reinvent what I used to know. And I'll take curling weight 10 or 20 pounds and I'll just do it till I say, oh shit, it hurts. I got to stop. And that's about it. I push my limits. I will always push my limits, but I realize that there are other ways to do things, but I don't sit there being sad that I can't do those things like I used to. I have to find a different way to do it.
Right.
You know, good example. We went to stand in a line in Kansas with Larry and Sandy and stuff. I can only stand for 10 minutes, let alone 5 minutes in the same spot. I found a chair every now and then, or I moved this way, or I did that. I mean, it's mindset, you know, but I could have said, no, you guys, I can't stand in that line with you, and said, we are not going here.
Right.
So what I'm saying is there's a will, there's a way, but don't allow yourself to scratch off, oh, can't do it this way. I can't do that. Nope. I can't, that's out of an option, you know, just can't do that. There's a lot of things on this way to this trip that I could have said I couldn't do because I know my body, or I know this, or I know that, where I would have a contradictory in terms would have shown that, look, I could do that. Look, I could do this. I push those limits to say, okay, what am I going to do? What's my solution? What's my thing next? So it becomes an enjoyment to never know exactly how it's going to work out, but push that limit. I was high risk pregnancy with 3 daughters. I was supposed to die every time. I was not supposed to drive. I wasn't supposed to do this, and that. I pushed the limits.
Right.
Okay. So I'm just saying that don't allow your limitations to limit you from still being limitless on what you want on your mindset.
Well, the root of that is how you think about it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was on the first day of a 2-day conference. Actually, it was 5 days, but the first 3 days were virtual, and these 2 days are live in Atlanta. And it's a sales conference, and a lot of people that I know personally are on stage there. And one of the ladies that actually talked today, and it was all about new customers, about how the landscape of the world has changed. The number one enemy is distractions, right? And so it's like how this ties into limitless is that how we think about something is how it's going to appear. Just like what Earl Nightingale said, what you think about it, you know, and we're the one that's telling ourselves before we either do something or we don't, but we're telling us like, I don't want to do that today, or I can't do that. Right. Limitless has no meaning. Right. You know, and how do we know our potential? Because we've never done so much to actually find out how much we can take in the world, how much can be dropped on us that we can, you know, like how much struggle can you take before you emerge, right? When you're in the gutter and you're down, you know, down ready to tap out, but you don't, you know, how much can you take to reemerge, right? Limitless is we're the ones that are telling ourselves what we can and can't do. Nobody else is. And so the limitless comes in by looking at something that I'm going to take that on, or I'm going to say yes. I'm going to put myself into whatever those ideal conditions are. No music, nobody around, no dogs barking, solitude, or maybe go to a coffee shop if that's your space. But the limitless is precious because you're not telling yourself you can't do it. You're just in motion. You know, limitless is a judgment, right? You know, it's like when you tell yourself I can't do that. Well, guess what it's going to look like? You're going to peck at all the different things that you can do because they're easy versus the things that, like, if you give up any meaning you attach to it, you're done with it in 30 minutes or an hour.
Just ask how you can do that.
Correct.
How is the biggest thing that you should be excited about? You should say, how am I going to do this?
Well, it's kind of like writing an article, right? There's been several times, you know, being a published writer, you know, not an author yet, but it's coming, is that it's like, oh my God, I just want to get this article done with. Well, number one, by me planning that in my head, it takes 3 times as long. Number two is that it doesn't flow very well because I'm trying to survive the moment versus just embracing and let the pen flow where it may. Right.
Same as writing.
Exactly. But it's like, it's it's like, oh my God, you pack yourself into a vacuum,
Mhm.
right? That I need to get this done or whatever. Well, no. When you
Yeah.
get rid of all of that and just write, grab a cup of coffee, it'll be done, right? You always get it done on time. We
Yeah.
we we put all of this stuff on ourselves, and it's a detriment to our success. It's a detriment to our health, and it's a big detriment to how we view the world. You know, I mean, how many people do you run into where they're like they might have like a little sense of bitter old crone in them, right? Where they got their arms crossed and they're looking to say no at everything. Well,
Yeah, especially in acting class.
imagine if they were to say yes. I mean, like Yes Man with Jim Carrey, where he was in that course and he had to say yes to everything that came across in his life.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, obviously it's made for TV, but look at the difference of people. Look at
Yep.
the difference about, not knowing what's going to happen. Right. So that's where limitless came from. It's a word that stands out to me, is that we don't even know what our limits are, but if we're willing and able, we'll surprise ourselves like that
Mm-hmm.
very
Yep.
quickly.
Yep.
That it's like, oh my God, I got that project done and I thought it was going to take whatever. Well, yeah,
Right.
because you got rid of the meaning. You got rid of that it had to look a certain way, and then obviously it's, if you don't take any time away to acknowledge yourself, or at least for a little bit, or maybe go get an ice cream cone or a nice coffee just to acknowledge yourself that you stayed it through and you completed that. If you're off to the next one without acknowledging yourself in some way, like maybe with a good night's sleep or an extra sleeping in a little bit, you're doing yourself a disservice. I mean, because how fulfilling is life when you just go on from one task to the next without stopping to,
It,
be present to where you're at.
it's really nice to call your own bullshit out too.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
and that's what I mean. I'm like, I'm calling my own bullshit in the sense that, you see, my gastroparesis is, yeah, it's a lifetime thing. There's like no cure. There's just, you're supposed to go down a downward spiral or whatever. But I've been dealing with this since I was 24 and I'm 55. And I knock on wood because I defy odds the best I can. But again, I'm not, and it's okay if you're hypochondriac. I'm not calling you out, but I'm just saying I won't allow myself, for me, I won't allow that to be my excuse to stay in that cookie cutter, because even the doctors, they tell you, well, maybe you can eat this or maybe you can't. You're going to have to test it out. You don't know until you try, because everybody's different with this condition. So the same thing with life. It's like, don't let your condition or your titles or anything defy what you try to do in life. I mean, you just don't. I mean, I pray to God a lot and I say, God, it's up to you and whatnot. And I just leave it there, man. I just leave it to chance. And I mean, I'm not really stupid in a lot of things, but this weekend, I'm not going to lie, or this last few days, I was like, I hope I don't have to go to the emergency room. But I've learned to just manage what I go through, but I always have to say, Lynn, there's a point that you might have to go to the emergency room, and most people in the emergency room, all it can do is make me comfortable. That's the thing. It's just like migraines, which I get every now and then. Migraines in this condition, you just have to go through the course. But again, it's just, it's your mind, like you said.
There's a reason why the status quo is so toxic. There's a reason why a majority of people exist in the status quo, not only in their mindset, but also though in their actions.
Yeah.
Because they poo-poo anybody else that is, they downplay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
They downplay, anybody that is other than what they look like, or,
Yeah.
and here's the thing, it has absolutely nothing to do with about somebody else, but they make it about themselves.
Yeah.
When they're like, oh my God, can you believe what that guy did? Who cares?
Yeah.
I guarantee he's not thinking about you. He's focusing on himself and where he needs to go.
Yeah.
So why is everybody else's business more important than their own?
Right. And it's funny because the last 4 days or the last 3 days, I mean, I could have been journaling and vlogging how sick I've been and whatever. One, I don't feel like the earth needs that to make them whatever, to make me look better. And two, that's not where I want to live. That's not what I try to avoid. That is all possible.
Right.
It's just like even when you're depressed or anything, Brian, you don't want to
Yeah.
throw that out. You don't want to vomit that out to everyone, because that's not where we want to live our lives. We may deal with these things, but we don't want to live there. We just know we need to shake that shit off and go on to where we want to be. And I guarantee, as much as we fight depression or anything, 9 out of 10 times you feel better when you don't sit there and you don't wallop. You just feel better because you got yourself out of your normal comfort zone.
Well, and the biggest thing with that, at least what I experience, is I don't make people wrong, right?
Yeah.
Or even that, like I tell somebody that I'm having an attack or whatever, and it's like, so anything that comes out of my mouth or whatever, don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Does it happen very often? No, but when it does, it's debilitating, as we've talked about.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it's like, to give that preamble, that
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the more that they know me, the closer they are to me, the more that they
can understand. It's an off time. It's an off day. It's an off moment.
They would rather have that be forthcoming than to be like, there's something off, but this person's not being forthcoming with it. They're not being authentic with, hey, this person's dealing with something. I don't know what it is, but they're not telling me about it.
Right. Yeah. Same thing with us people that have post-traumatic distress disorder. It's like, sometimes you don't have any warning when it's coming, but
and when the word limitless comes out, it's like there's lots of quotes in history about it, but that is truly an area that we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
Because not only does it tap into our abilities, but it taps into like what this can be used for. We don't know that world because we're not there.
Right.
But we're up for that journey, though. That's the distinction. And then so, where most people are going one way and they stay there, which is like the status quo, the person that is limitless is going off potentially in a space where, more likely, no sugarcoating it, they're going to a space where they have no idea what's going to happen. They're rolling the dice and they're going to be okay with it.
Such is life.
Correct. But it's like, when we look at a pool, it's the time of year for people to be out and, doing a little sun tanning, or for me, getting any color on my white cracker skin. Is that like, if we look at everybody and to put in a graphical thing, is how many, how much of that would be, how much of that pool would be contained with people of status quo, that they're, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you try anything and it doesn't work, guess what you got? You got what you got now, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you don't like the world that you're in, what's the worst that could happen? You're going to revert back to where you are.
Yeah.
But by the way, stick at it a long enough time, you're not going to stay there.
By the way, Brian, we're having like severe thunderstorms here right now. So, and rain. So just throwing that out there in case I blip off the radar here. Okay. I mean, my dad does have a manufactured trailer home, so disclaimer.
Just so everybody knows, prior to Lynn getting to her dad's place, he had internet installed.
Yeah, they know. I used to stay. A matter of fact, I should show a video sometime. I was like doing a live in the driveway because the neighbor next door, which he bought the house next door, my dad did, but the neighbor next door gave me their internet and it wouldn't go through the trailer. I would have to be in the carport to get the neighbor's thing just on the internet.
Oh, so Lynn has a version of what I've done where she sees me mobile.
Yeah. So it's just whatever happens.
Now, did your dad at one moment in time, did he put like aluminum foil on his bunny ears for his TV, or did he not?
Oh, heck yeah. Well, no, he had an antenna up there, and I think he got mad when the Spectrum came and did this. He goes, I get less channels since they put your internet in. So I bought a Roku stick for him, and I've tried to teach him how to use it to use my Hulu and get him some more channels,
Be like, oh my God, there's a new world.
Yeah. Whoa, but he doesn't. And I bought him an air fryer, and oh my gosh, he's like, which buttons do I press? For heat and this and that. He had a deep fryer that he'd do his plantains in. He took that out. Wow. He took that out. He took his toaster oven out, and he's using the air fryer and he's liking it for his French fries and stuff. No grease. So yeah, no grease.
Those things are, I start to see people using those more and more about all the different things that they're putting in them. you know.
Oh yeah, and I bought him accessories so he could bake a little cake in there and put his little toast and little line up
I
his
get to
toast
see
in
when
there.
she's giving her dad these items,
Yeah.
and with a little wink, like, "Hey, you're gonna make me something, right?" Like underneath the
Well,
that.
he asked me, "Can I cook rice in there?" I'm like, "Dad, no rice."
Put rice in an air fryer.
I did no rice.
It might get through the whole carriage, like the whole grate. Like,
Oh my gosh! But now that I got him that little pot for cake, he might try to make rice in there.
all of a
My
sudden,
dad's
before you leave, he goes on a baking bonanza. Like
oh
just making everything.
my dad he's Mr. Very thrifty. I mean, frugal. Frugal has a picture of Felix Serrano on it. I mean,
Okay.
and then some. He told me I need to write a book and tell people how to get rich, and this and that. Hey, I told him, I wrote the book and it was 8th grade education. Now he tells me 7th grade, and I'm like, the man's got more CDs and more houses. He owns 3 rental properties and
Your
and
dad
blah
does?
blah blah. Oh yeah, my dad
Oh my
has rental properties and
gosh, I didn't
yeah,
know.
he's retired. Yeah, the man's got things going on. I mean, he's and only 7th grade education, so yeah, he's pretty smart. He's got the top of the line credit and everything, and he's just
That's great.
yeah. But I mean, he's lost everything many times in his life, so but yeah, so
I
it's
don't
pretty
think
funny.
the more I study achievers and I'm around other people, that are doing great things, it's like I almost think it's impossible to truly succeed for the long term without going down.
Well, he told me, he goes, I can write a book. He goes, but he's from the school. You got to work. If you don't work and you don't save your money and you don't figure out what you got, you ain't gonna have nothing. But he's always been a handyman, so he can fix anything. So
Oh
he's always bought things that need to be fixed up. He's fixed them up and made his money and then some. So that's really where 80 years old, and the person that just rented his house next door, he served our country for 25 years and just retired, and he has a Hummer and a Corvette next door, and he says, your dad at 80 years old, he goes, I've seen many people, he goes, your dad's a hard worker, your dad has taught me more than I've ever known in my life. He goes, your dad's an amazing cool guy. And it's weird because the guy's just like my dad's like Felix Unger. I mean, he's like but my dad's really, he's just something else. He's just a character and a half, and so he impresses everybody, and he's very, very wise. So, yeah.
Well, plus,
Yeah.
people that get into real estate or whatever, they're not
Yeah.
making any more of it.
No, and my dad decided to take, a $65,000 CD and take it because he was making 0.1%, and he decided to buy the house next door, and now he's renting it out for like, I don't know, 1,200 or something, and making after he fixed it up a little bit. And then the house now is worth 80,000. So he's made over 25,000 investment, and he's renting it out. So yeah, it's all good. So yeah, like I said, it's just the way you see things, I mean, he could have left the money in the bank and not done anything. And he's like, no, this is what I'm going to do with it. And he busted his ass and worked on it and fixed it himself. And it's just amazing.
Well, you take a risk. You take a risk either way.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
And it's like, why would you not want to put your, I'm learning this more and more all the time, is that, okay, do we want to be secure and whatnot financially? Yes. But in order to, you don't get money, you don't make money unless you invest money.
It takes money to make money. And you've got to invest it where, and that's just it. My dad knows how to fix things. My dad knows how to do tile. My dad knows how to lay planks for, the particle board. I mean, my dad knows how to do it all. And so why not put his skills to work and get the returns? So,
well, and I think I think when we talk about that, it's like, your price is your price.
Yeah. And I'm just laughing because he goes to me, I'm not buying no more houses. Then the other day he goes, but if I could get over that one for a good deal, I'm like, oh my gosh. But the thing is he actually bought that house, started doing work because he was sitting down so much and everything that it kind of gave him his life back, and so now he's finished doing the house, and he's like, what am I going to do next? And I don't know what Felix is going to do next, but So yeah, and
I mean,
he
look
also
at
takes care of the lawn next door as part of the guy's rental. My dad decided to keep up the lawn for them. So he this morning 3 hours worth of work. He mowed their lawn here, trimmed, did the clipping. I mean, he did it all. And then he sits down. And he goes, "That was about $300 I saved." He did.
but he would never do it unless he got enjoyment, or unless it,
Yeah.
there, there's something in him, obviously his hardworking nature, but like why he would do that instead
Yeah.
of outsourcing it.
Yep. Oh
You know what I mean?
yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, because they can't do it as good as he does. Matter of fact, Ricky tried to mow his lawn when he had his other house in Georgia, and my dad. The only thing about my dad is he plants too many plants and stuff. So for anybody, they would cost him a lot because there's a lot of trimming to do because my dad doesn't have a straight grass. I mean, he has all this different stuff. So yeah, he makes a challenge.
I could almost see it where your dad would, if he were to hire somebody, it'd be like as if he wouldn't get any work done because he would want to examine what they're doing to make sure they're doing it right, which is kind of pointless. So just do it yourself.
Matter of fact, he told me today, he goes, "Oh, do you know?" Matter of fact, I'll show you here in a minute, but he goes, "Do you know, I don't know how," because he's leaving me this place, right? And he goes, "I don't know how you're going to take care of this when I'm gone." He goes, "You don't even know how to take care of this." And so I said, Dad, I do. Actually, I'm going to send this up to you, Brian, and then I'm going to upload it. So just so you know. But I said, Dad, he goes, "No, you're not watching me." I said, "Dad, I am watching you." He goes, "What do you mean you're watching me?" I said, "I took a picture of what you're doing." He goes, "Oh, okay, good." And so it was just really funny. That's just how he is. And so right now, this time of year, people leave their homes and they go to their native states or whatever. This is the time everybody actually just vacates. And so
it's like a temporary residence.
Yeah. And so, oh gosh, so give me a second here.
Man, he could he could have another business if he wanted, or maybe he's already doing it to fix up places or lawn care. I mean, he could be the management of it, and he could have somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's see. What the heck?
I mean, he's got enough on his plate, it sounds like now, but it seems like the guy is a energy machine with work on his mind.
He is this is my dad here. This is so funny. Okay, hold on. This is my dad here doing the weed. He's telling me, look. And so I parked my car across the neighbors because they're not there right now. Okay. But yeah, I go, "You see, Dad?" And I zoomed it up and I said, and there's my dad. Yeah. And I was like, "Dad, you see? All I got to do is zoom it up and I know how to do it." He's like, okay. So, but again, this is a guy that's had cancer 3 times, open heart surgery, and he's just amazing. Right now, he's doing well right now, but they found his heart's running a little bit slower, and I think because he just keeps working as hard as he is, but he doesn't have a doctor's appointment. He's had all these tests, and they're not seeing him till next month, so I think he's doing okay. So
good.
So yeah, but it's his will. It's his will to keep going, and so
like the one thing I've learned from people that are retired or been retired a while is like one of two things happen. And I've seen it consistently. And it seems like people go one of two ways. Mm-hmm. They retire and they're more busier than when they were working, or they get comfortable and they might have all great intentions, but then that kind of, there's no motivation there. They get comfortable with the chips and the watching the TV and the shows that they watch influence their thoughts. And
well, and he watches a lot of TV stuff, but what's really cool is I talked to him a little bit about what I wrote in my story, and I didn't like give the gory details of a lot of things. I mean, my dad drank back in the day. I didn't even put that in the book because that's not the point of the story. But my dad would get really angry, and it was because of my mother's fault and things like that. And I kind of mentioned all that, and he would discipline. He'd be the disciplinary guy. She would call him for that and whatnot. But, you know, the thing is I could have sat there and really not forgiven my dad for a lot of things. Matter of fact, if you see the movie Mercy Me, it's pretty much my life, if you want to be honest. And so I don't even need to throw that story out there. It's the Mercy Me is about my dad pretty much, where my dad realized that, you know, God let him stay around here. And like he even said to me yesterday, he goes, I don't even know why I kept coming back. And you know, you're not typical dad. My dad had the opportunity to just be away and have his own life because my mom would hit us from him and didn't have him there. And he always just felt bad for us kids and wondered what would happen to us kids if he wasn't in our life.
Right.
And I don't even know where we would have been if my dad didn't stay in our life. And he suffered a lot. I mean, he'd eat a can of soup a day and work full time at a foundry. And then he did handyman work and bought a house and stuff like that. So I tell you all that to tell you this. There's a lot of people out there, and Father's Day is coming. And some, you know, like Brian, he doesn't have his dad anymore. But I got to tell you is, you know, my heart goes out for a lot of men that try to be there for their kids. Sometimes guys get a shitty rap because of a lot of bad women out there. And I'll call that bullshit, and I'll call it out because I was one of the good ones, and guys were shitty to me and shitty to my kids too. But I stand for the 1%. My dad's in the 1% category, and that's being there for us and doing the best he can. Now he knows he wasn't always good to us. He knows you know what he did. And it was funny because when I told him I was going to write the book, he goes, I only hit you one time, right? No, wait, let me go back. I said, Dad, I'm going to write a book. He goes, uh-oh. And he goes, and I only hit you once, right?
Out of all the things he could have said, he went right to that one piece.
But you know what I was glad is he didn't say, why are you going to write a story? He didn't get mad at me or nothing. And that's what I loved. He's like, you're going to say what you're going to say, and that's it. And so out of respect, I wrote it the way I did. But what I can say is that totally being removed from it, we should forgive people, and we should know that a person can change. And my dad did change. And my dad's credit was shot many times, and that's for a story for another time. But what I can say is he still conquered. He still went ahead and has the best, you know, has 3 homes, and he, you know, best credit and line of credit, whatever he wants. Okay. What I'm saying is that's a good man, and he knows he wasn't always great, but he paid his dues, and it's humbled him to realize and empathize the shit he's done in his life too.
Well, he did it his own way.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the only thing I know about your dad is from what you shared with me privately or on the show, but he did it his own way.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's tie that into this conversation, is that if he would have listened to the media, the people in his life, who knows, right? Anybody that could have influenced him, would he be where he's at now? Probably not.
No,
right?
No.
And so it's just a testament that you have to shut it off, right? If you want to do limitless, you have to shut off all the other garbage that does not pertain to where you want to be.
Yeah. And my dad,
that also implies you have a choice.
Right. And my dad realized he had to forgive my mom. He had to forgive other people, and he had to forgive himself for being the way he was. You know, like I said, I've mentioned to you before, I have a sister who doesn't talk to me because it's Spanx. She doesn't talk to my dad either. Wow. She feels we're a terrible family, you know? And I mean, he's still leaving her in the will and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is she's the youngest, and she just feels everybody should owe it to her. That's her freaking mindset. That's poor her. But you know what? She's never been married. She doesn't have any kids. She's been very blessed and lucky along the way, financially and all sorts of stuff. And she's still living a miserable life. And why? Because if you hold things back and you have grudges, and you don't see that, if you can't admit how horrible you've been as a person and change that, the limitless abundance mindset, if you can't say, okay, I'm a shitty person, but I want to change that, then you got problems that nobody can fix.
Right.
And that's why self-development is so important. And that's why I think Brian and I are so passionate about it.
Well, and if, I just love don't get me going, but I just love the people that, every number one, they're a victim. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Number two, it's like everything is the external world that's causing them to be where they're at. But then throughout them talking and I'm listening, I'm also kind of writing down where they're not taking action on anything.
Yeah.
It's all this external blame. And
But
it's like, okay, that happened to you. You concluded that it was this.
you
Okay. Did you leave it there? Or did you want to move it anywhere?
Well,
You
and
know?
it's funny you say that, Brian. I think that's why I don't talk about my gastroparesis often, because I think that back in the day when I was so up on my game, where I was bodybuilding and health was such a big deal, and I thought my health was good and I thought it was simple for everybody else, this disease has humbled my ass to say, Lynn, maybe people can't be the way you are because they get health issues and they gain weight and they can't lose it. It's like, it's humbled me to say, oh shit, maybe I was wrong. I mean, like see somebody fat, and like, and my dad's old school and I, whatever, but like he gets on me for my weight and stuff. And he's like, you should go walking like you used to. And I'm like, Dad, but I can't walk that far. But again, he doesn't have that compassion. He's learned to have that compassion. But then I go, Dad, all the time you would beat me. I said, and all the arthritis I got from where you beat me and this and that. He's like, shuts right up. I'm like, but again, the thing is that I don't sit there dwelling on what is. So I realize that I can't say a victim and I can't blame my dad anymore. It's just the way I am, but it's given me the empathy and the empathize with others.
Well, I think that limitless is also creates a simple life.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order you went through the sludge, you went through the where you don't want to be to emerge and to know where you are, and you don't have to justify it because you're driven internally.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're not going to be held back by anything.
Right.
And I think that I would rather have a couple great friends than a whole bunch of acquaintances. Right? Seriously. Because I know that I can reach on those people anytime, but also though what I need to get done is what I need to get done. You know, these people are going to support me. I can show up any way at any given time and they're not going to judge me. Right.
They're going to take you how you come.
Well, and that limitless, I think is where that, that abundance of it is that you remove all, and it's not that you overcome those things. It's the lingering effects of those things. The people, the physical manifestations, and just fully transforming yourself to a different life.
Yeah. And to realize that, are you using this as a victim mode for an excuse? Because when you realize you're calling it an excuse, you don't want to talk about your excuses or your victim mode. And I guess that's what keeps me in check. I'm like, I don't want to be a victim. This is where I am. That I foretold, the person should eat a salad over there to, shit, just eating a salad don't get me skinny. I mean, like I got swelling, I got inflammation. It's like, oh shit, okay, maybe they're inflamed too. I didn't think they were fluffy for that reason. Judgment.
One of the simplest ways to not have that in life is to do the opposite.
Right.
Seriously. Do the opposite, right? Mm-hmm. Take extreme ownership of everything in your life. And I know that points to Jocko Willink, but if people are zigging, you're zagging. Yeah. If people are competing, you're differentiating, right? If people are talking about somebody in a negative way, remove yourself from the situation. Whatever it is that doesn't align with where you need to be, go the opposite way, period. Right? Because if you go the opposite way, the only person that's telling you what to do is yourself.
Right.
And you get a choice in the matter. You get a choice regardless if you got noise and drama and all these other things around you. But life is a lot simpler when it's on your terms.
Amen,
not on the
brother.
terms of somebody else that potentially is only there for their well-being, not for your well-being.
Right.
Big difference.
Absolutely. It's that's where you can tell, is it a friendship or is it not a friendship? Right. Is it genuine or it's not? And that is something that we should continuously do a check, because it's more successful you get, more people want to be around you or this or that. But why do they want to be around you? You have to question those things.
Well, and it's like, what is the, I always ask myself this question, and it's based on somebody that we know, anybody that watched the show, if you saw this person, you know who it is because he's coached us, is the cost of inaction, right? What are you willing to pay the price for limitless? Are you willing to pay the price that whatever shows up in your world, you can bring it into existence in some way? Because it all starts here. It all starts from your heart, but don't don't envision there being support or acknowledgement and validation.
Accolades, yeah.
Right. Don't expect any of that because it's not going to come.
No.
Anybody that is up to anything that is against the big pool of, mediocrity and status quo, you're going to stand out like a sore thumb and be prepared to be ridiculed because that'll happen.
Oh,
and that is enough where that big pool of status quo gets bigger, because it's so much easier to do like what everybody else does. How many, there's a lot of examples, people that train for the Olympics, people that become millionaires, people that overcome all sorts of stuff. I guarantee they never did it because they listened to a bunch of other people that were not doing that.
Yep. Exactly.
Now, does it make anybody that is not up for that quest wrong? No, not at all.
But
the ties will eventually be severed, or you kind of, I would rather say drift away, not severed. Right. Because you're where you're getting your juice is not where they're getting their juice.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the little carnivals. They always have the little duckies that are floating.
Oh, yeah.
They're bobbing, right? And then you got some that are bobbing the wrong way. They stick out, and God, which pond are you in? Are you there digging or?
Well, and it's just like a limitless, to live limitlessly. Would you rather get rid of the junk that you forgave the people you've overcome in your life, and to have that behind you forever, right? You complete it. Would you rather have that open road of, wow, I got my pencil or my pen or my marker and I can do whatever I want? Is that worth what it takes to get there?
Yeah.
We're the only ones that are in control of ourselves. We're the only ones that stand in our way. That's it.
Right.
And so I thought it was very poignant because it's like, oh, I don't want to do that today. Maybe tomorrow. It's not due until next week. Oh, they'll give me, they'll be okay if I take an extra couple days, or I'm going to go golfing this afternoon. Right. Okay.
Yeah. But you're going to pay the price for that too.
Right. But isn't
you're prolonging it?
I guess what I'm trying to say is that paying the price is worth a simple life where, the path that you're on, once you've written a book, right. From what I've heard from you and from Jerry and other people, it gets easier. Well, Are you willing to pay the price for the first book to make it easier for the second, the third, the fourth? Are you willing to go through those experiences in life that'll simplify and get rid of all the garbage that, one of the, or even the people that you listen to on podcasts or whatever, if you're normally a positive person, but you, for whatever reason, you get a dopamine hit and you get riled up by somebody that has an opposing view, if it's not serving you well and all you want to do is, throw up your arms and kick doors, consider removing that point of view from your life.
Yeah.
I've dealt with people in my life that it doesn't make any difference how much I talk to these people or how blue in the face I get to, repel their message. It's not going to make any difference because that's who they are.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be in your world. So just turn it off. Turn it off.
Yeah. It's true. And like I said, I told somebody the other day, I said, I've got a topic and know what I'm going to do my next 3 books. And they're like, what? They're like, oh no. I said, don't worry. I said, next time I'm not going to give a deadline. That's the only advice I say don't do.
So in your opinion, like, do you think that limitless, like where do you envision like limitless and status quo? You know what I mean? Do you think that they're polar opposites, or do you think that one creates the other from an opposing viewpoint?
Well, limitless, there might seem different ways that you may have to rethink a situation.
Right.
So it comes with the abundance of knowing. The mindset means, it's just like, I'll give you a good example. When I get an intuitive reading or I get a message that I actually see something happening, a vision
Sure.
that actually happens, but then my ego comes in and I'm like, that, Brian, I just seen something with you in it and there was friction or blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling you the whole scene. Yet
Right.
where I'm messing up is, Brian, that message wasn't for you. And I didn't know that, because the ego makes me think, because I seen you in it, I've had to learn that that doesn't mean it's you. It means it's another Brian. I mean, like, I have to, it's like a clues. Like, I have to figure out where that comes to play. So what would help? Gee, Lynn, write it down in a journal. And later when you hear the story, you could show the date and you could show the thing and, whatever. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same thing I see about limitless. Limitless is what you think about does come about, but it doesn't come about the way you think it does.
Right. Yep.
So the mindset is letting go of the fact that that is a thought and that is something that's going to happen. But the mindset is not knowing when it's going to happen. That's just like when people don't realize the importance of being grateful to God for different things that's going on in your life. Why is it that you didn't talk to God before and you're praying for something else? It's like, or you did pray to God. I think even Glenn Morshower said it in one of our things. It's like people say, you keep praying to God for something he already gave you the first time. Do you think because you didn't think the last time you prayed wasn't good enough, you're coming back praying the same prayer? Why don't you? He gave you something. I mean, so without being churchy or preachy here, the mindset is, it still will come in fruition, but you never know how it's going to come. You just have to know it's going to be done. And hey, there's Michelle. I'm supposed to be going to her house. Oh, I'm so excited. So the mindset really comes to knowing that if this is what you intend for it to happen, it will happen. It may not. The limitless, you have to believe in the limitless possibilities in your mindset. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it goes from point A to B.
Right.
It's
right.
And that's where we get stuck, because we think we planted that seed and it's going to be a watermelon. But did you put the right fertilizer? You didn't know it was going to be a purple watermelon. Why? Because maybe you put food coloring in the water or something, chemicals that shouldn't have been there. Right. I mean, so it might take a longer process or whatever. The point is that when you talked about and there's Eman, I love you. Hey. So when you asked me that question as far as limitless abundance, I think, you gotta believe that you're creating what you want to create, but it's not going to be created the way, and definitely different intentions. So if you use the wrong chemicals for this watermelon thing, it might not be viable to eat, pesticides or whatever. So if you're not giving it the right thing and the right intentions, you're not going to get the right fruit, because it might be bitter. It's just like the whole rice thing that you give love to one and you don't the other. The same thing. I believe that's how limitless works. It's the intention and knowing. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it does. The biggest visuals that it creates is that when you're living a very predictable life, it's like driving on a road, right? That you know and you've been on many times.
Right.
There's very little chance that there's going to be any surprises. You're not going to notice anything new. You can do it in your sleep, right?
Right.
But the limitless life is kind of like zigzagging, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like you're looking at the topography of a map.
Absolutely.
Right?
There's many ways to get there.
You don't know what's going to happen down every curve. There could be snow. There could be an elk. You have no idea, but it's on your terms and you take it as it is. Plus, you're probably more present throughout it all because you've determined that, hey, I'm going to be the utmost vulnerable right now. A lot of people aren't going to understand that life. So they might not be a part of my life anymore. But the people that are truly a part of my life are there on my terms.
Right.
It's a mutual thing. It's not, I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not.
Right.
But you're open to those twists and turns.
Right.
Because it's just the moment in time. It will pass.
Yep.
And then you move on from it. But the lessons that you learned from that experience will serve you well for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
Instead of the, twiddle your thumbs and, like just driving somewhere when it's predictable.
Yeah, you can't play it safe all the time either, Yeah, and that's just it. If you play it safe, you're losing so much if you play it safe. You know, and
If
I
you,
realized I did 2,500 miles to by the time I got to my dad's house.
yep.
And I'm like, you know, I mean that was actually it was yeah, 2,400 miles to get here. And you know, quite a few stops along the way. So, you know, again, unpredictable and whatever. I mean, like I said, I didn't have no stomach issues at Tammy's and Vanessa's, and I ate things I didn't eat before, and I took a chance. But I got to my dad's house, and I'm back to my old way over here, feeling sick.
I mean, the last thing I want to say is that if it's predictable, you know, that's okay. You know what's going to happen. There are going to be no surprises, but then it's probably not going to be that fulfilling. It's
Right,
probably not going to move you forward, right?
right,
You can have predictable with results that blow your mind away, like
yeah,
that surprise you like crazy. You know,
absolutely,
it's like, ooh, if I do the same thing over and over again, it'll be magically different. No,
yeah,
Einstein already talked about that, right?
absolutely,
So if you're willing to go all in on the limitless, it's a very freeing space. But the one thing that comes into play is those little inklings of, you know, the people roping you back into the status quo,
right,
you
right,
know, because it's safe. There's a lot of
absolutely.
people in that pool, so to speak.
Absolutely.
What is it? You don't need to
I
be.
think we're gonna pick up this topic again tomorrow, right?
Sure.
A little
Yeah.
bit more about it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna probably play the replay on this, and there's just a lot of good points and a lot of good things to soak up from here. So
Yeah.
but anyhow, it's good to be with you. You see, this is we've gotten in our comfort zone to be here and enjoying this, but you know, we're definitely we're gonna step it up here a little bit, you guys. And I'm gonna see Lip Lock next week.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and just so everybody knows, thank you to everybody watching the show. I mean, the summer's a little bit different. Lynn's traveling, that kind of thing. We've never navigated a summer before doing the show. So, you know, clearly Lynn gets all the emails because I haven't got anything from anybody like, hey, when are you guys
Uh-uh.
going to be back? So, but, you know, hey, just like everybody, we need a little rest and recovery and travel and, you know, because we only want to present content that gets you to think and can help you. So hopefully you
Absolutely.
understand. And yeah, we're going to continue this conversation tomorrow. I can't
Absolutely.
wait. I wrote down a couple ideas for it. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
great to be back and with you, Lynn. So
All right, you too. I love you.
love you
Okay,
too.
everybody. We will see you tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.